So tonight's video is basically going to talk about the Navajo clan system. It's a very complex thing to talk about. I'm going to try and make an attempt to clarify how it works, but just to put it out there, it's very difficult to talk about. It's very difficult to describe, but I'll do my best. Basically, all Navajos have 4 clans, regardless if they're full Navajo, half Navajo, quarter Navajo. All Navajos have 4 clans. What clans do is they establish relatives, who a person's relatives are. They tell if a person is your brother or sister, aunt, uncle, grandmother, or grandfather. It tells all that in a person's clan. In some instances, a clan can also tell where a person is from. Some clans tend to be localized in a certain region of the Navajo reservation, so by knowing someone's clans, sometimes you can guess where from the reservation they are from. If a person is dating somebody, the first thing relatives will ask is, what is their clan? To make sure that you're not related to them. If you're related to somebody by clan, you definitely cannot marry them. Times are changing. Some families don't highly regard clans to that level anymore, but at least on my part of the reservation, that's the first thing they'll ask. What is their clan? And if you're related to them, can't marry them. So it's a big thing. Also, if you're on another part of the reservation and if you've established that you're relatives with a group of people based on your clan, at times you can count on your clan relatives to provide you food, water, shelter if you're stranded, if you're out of gas. At times your clan relative can help you supply those things. So having clans and establishing who your relatives are by clan can be very, very helpful and beneficial. Where clans come important in this day and age is when you're addressing a group of people. If you're at the chapter house, and a chapter house is basically the equivalent of a town hall in a town. A chapter house is where all of the business aspects of a town and the governing laws and ordinances of a town, where those are handled, is in a chapter house. If you're in a chapter house and if you're addressing the elders or if you're addressing the town leaders, the first thing that you do is say your clans. You identify who you are, who your relatives are. If you're giving a speech at a graduation, if you're at a graduation reception, a wedding reception, and you stand up to talk on behalf of the family, the first thing a person will typically do is establish their clans, tell who they're related to, what their clans are. That's where it comes out. If a kid is addressing the whole school board or the whole student body, the first thing that they'll do is say what their clans are so that a person can know who is related to who. So it's still very important on the reservation today. So how does this work? The best way to explain it is to give you an example. So let's start with mine. So if I were to identify myself in front of a group of people, I would say, Ádóone'é Jilí alchahasinlo, she'e Terry Teller yinishke, to'ahedlini nishle, maideshkijni, bashishchin, tsenahabitni, dashiche aro, hanagatni dashinelle, diet out adeninishle. So this is how you would say your clans in Navajo. So how this works out. A person's first clan is their mom's clan. They always get their mom's clan first. So I'm To'ahedlini nishle. I'm To'ahedlini, which means my mom is To'ahedlini. If my mom is To'ahedlini, it means my grandma, her mom was To'ahedlini. You always get your mom's clan. So my mom was To'ahedlini. So it means her grandma was To'ahedlini. My second clan, the clan that I'm born for, Bashishchinigi, that's my dad's clan, Maideshkijni. If my dad is Maideshkijni, it means that his mom, my Nali, was Maideshkijni. So that's his first clan. Since he is my dad and I was born for him, that becomes my second clan, Nígíí, Adééhániih. Now my third clan, my Che's clan, my maternal grandfather's clan, he was Adééhániih, which means his mom was Adééhániih, for that to be his first clan. So my third clan becomes my mom's grandfather's clan, Adééhániih. That becomes my third clan. So when I say Adééhániih Dashiche, it means my grandfathers are of the Adééhániih clan, the Sleeping Rock clan. So it establishes who my maternal grandfather was. I don't say who my paternal grandmother was because obviously I got that through my mom, and her mom was Ádóone'é Jilí, so it automatically becomes mine, so I don't have to mention her, but I had to mention my grandfather. Same thing with my dad's side, my Náli's clan. My paternal grandfather, his clan was Adééhániih. Since he was Adééhániih, my great-grandmother, his mother, had to have been Adééhániih as her first clan, which became his clan, which becomes my fourth clan. So when I say Adééhániih Dashinelle, my paternal grandfathers are Adééhániih. Again, I don't have to mention what my paternal grandmother's clan was because that was my dad's clan. Whatever my grandmother was, my paternal grandfather was, that was my dad's mom's clan, so he gets that clan, that becomes the clan I'm born for. As you can see here, clans tell a lot of information. Already it kind of told you who my parents are, who my grandparents are, how I'm related to people around me. Clans tell a lot of information. Now to try to show how clans can tell how a person is related to you, I'm going to have my cousin Dion give his clans.
Ádóone'é Jilí, Ádóone'é Jilí, Nígíí Bashistin, Nígíí Dashiche, Dashinelle.
So my cousin Dion, since I'm Ádóone'é Jilí and his first clan is Ádóone'é Jilí, by clan it makes him my younger brother. Now let's choose another scenario. Let's pretend that he wasn't Ádóone'é Jilí, that his first clan was Nihobani or something like that. And we would just focus on the clan that he was born for, Nígíí. So I'm born from Nígíí, he's born for Nígíí. That would make us cousins. How that would work out is if I'm born from Nígíí, it means my dad is Nígíí. If he's born from Nígíí, it means his dad was Nígíí, or is Nígíí, which would make our dads brothers, which would make us cousins by clan. That's how it would work. Now let's pretend that Dion, his first clan was Adééhániih, and the rest of his clans didn't match at all, that they were something different. In that scenario, Dion would be my grandfather's brother from my mom's side. If he is my grandfather's brother, it would make him my grandfather, or it would make me his grandchild. Same thing if none of the clans match, but he was born for Adééhániih, it would mean that he was my Náli's brother, my paternal grandfather's brother, which would make me his grandchild, or it would make him my grandfather by clan. That's how it would work. That's how you would establish clans. In general, in Navajo, it gets more confusing than that. That's the basic gist, but there's a lot of subtle differences and varieties that we can't even begin to scratch the surface of in this video. You're probably wondering where all of these clans came from. So, according to the creation myth, after first man and first woman, Adééhániih and Adééhániih, after they were created, changing woman, Ádóone'é wanted to create more people. So she did this by rubbing off pieces of her skin, and those skins that fell off became the original first four clans. So those first four clans are considered to be the Kia'ani, the Adééhániih, the Hushlishni, and the Nígíí. Those are considered the first 4 clans. Some people may debate as to what the main 4 clans are, but generally people agree on the Dinék'ehí. I personally don't agree with Aadóone'é being considered in that group, and I have my own personal reason on that, which I'll get to in a second. The rest of them come from stories. For example, Ádóone'é Jilí, my first clan. So there's a lake located in the middle of New Mexico called Navajo Lake. It's located near the Hickory Reservation. It's called Ádóone'é Jilí in Navajo, which means where the waters flow together, Ádóone'é Jilí. And at that spot, according to the old stories, Dinék'ehjí, water monsters kids were playing by the rivers, by the lakeside. Coyote stole one of those kids, and to make a long story short, he eventually gave one of Water Monster's kids back. The other of Water Monster's child that wasn't given back married among the Navajos, and the offspring of that child became the Ádóone'é Jilí, and that's where those people came from, or my ancestors supposedly are ancestors from Water Monster's kids. Another story, Ádóone'é Jilí. So Ádóone'é Jilí is the Navajo name for Jemez Pueblo. How it breaks down is Ma'i means coyote, Deshkij basically means like a narrow gap. If your house was really messy and there was clothes piled all over the place and there was just this one little narrow pathway for you to kind of weave yourself in between, that narrow little pathway is called Deshkij. It's like a narrow little gap. So Ádóone'é Jilí means coyote pass. So to get to Jemez Pueblo, if you're coming from the north, you have to go through a very narrow pass to get to Jemez Pueblo. And that pass is called Ádóone'é Jilí, and that's where they get their name from, Ádóone'é Jilí, Coyote Pass people. So, according to my grandpa, when the Navajos were running out of daughters, the Navajos went and raided Jemez Pueblo, stole some of the young girls there, brought them back, and that's how they generated more Navajos. Sounds weird, but and that's how the population grew. And anybody who was offspring of those women that were stolen from Jemez Pueblo were called the Ádóone'é Jilí, the Coyote Pass people. So that's where that clan came from. The Aadóone'é. So in another story, a Navajo guy married an Apache woman from White River, from the White Mountain Apache Reservation, married a Dinék'ehjí, and he moved over there. When he moved over to that spot, the first night that they spent as husband and wife in the home, the husband died. So the wife went to a neighboring village to where she thinks that the people who killed her husband were living. She went to the house, and she did find out that the people who were living in that house killed her husband. So what she did is she circled the house, saying some kind of prayer that eventually killed the people that were living in that building. Some people saw her walking around the house. In Navajo, Aadóone'é means the one who walks around people. So all the offspring of that woman who was caught walking around that house that killed the people inside are called the Aadóone'é. So based on those stories, I might be part Apache, part Jemez Pueblo Indian, I don't know. But that's where the stories come from. And based on that story about the Aadóone'é, that's why I don't really believe in Aadóone'é being a part of the first 4 original clans, but that's what people say. So each of the different clans that are out there, and there's a lot more than those mentioned here, they all have their own story about how they came to be. But that's basically my little spiel on Navajo clans. I hope it kind of helps you understand Navajo clans a little more. It's a very, very complex thing to talk about, and there's more clans out there than I mentioned here in this little video. But if you have any questions for me, write me a comment, send me a question, send me an email, and I'll try to answer you the best I can. But I hope this clarified some things. Have a good evening.